Welcome. In this video we're going to take a look at what do you need to check for when you're buying a second-hand bike. Now sometimes you're buying a bike second-hand, you really have only a couple of minutes to check it out, and spending a bit of money, it's not a lot of time. So I recently purchased this Canyon road bike second-hand, and I'll just go through the basics of what I would check. Firstly, before you even look at the bike, you need to try and figure out, could it be stolen? You need to check the history of the bike and where it's come from. So the guy I bought this off had bought this brand new from Canyon, and I asked for, had he got the box, the Canyon box. Let me just get it here. So he actually had the box that was shipped with it, and was useful because in here then there was lots of little spare parts. There's a little envelope here somewhere, there's little spacers here, covers for some of the screws at the back, and a spare grub nut for the seat post, some spacers, and other bits and pieces. I'm sure there. But I've all the manuals, and he even gave me his receipt. So the thing has a warranty, at least I have something. So because he had all this, receipt matching his name, I was pretty confident, but I'm more confident. I knew for definite the bike was his and was not stolen. So that was the first thing to check. So the next thing is, could the bike have been crashed? Could it be damaged? I mean, looking at it, it looked pretty clean. Now, a couple of things I watch out for. Usually by crashes it goes obviously over to one side, and you'll find on the gear levers, you'll see scrapes here. So if the gear levers are scraped, the bike had been on the ground sliding, so some type of crash. Or the handlebars. Now this is the original tape. There's no scratching here, here, or on the other side. The other thing to watch out for is the saddle here. It may get caught. There's any sort of rips here. Again, it's a sign that either it was dragged along a wall or maybe it was on the ground. Now this didn't come with pedals, so sometimes if you check the outside of a pedal, you'll see scrapes, but this didn't, so that wasn't. I couldn't check that. Though sometimes what you'll find with a crash bike is the derailleur here is damaged in some way. You'll find scrapes or scratches here, so check for that. Now if a bike crashes, that's okay. But if there's any sign of a crash, you need to ask the person selling, what exactly happened. Actually on the quick releases as well, these are Mavic wheels. Sometimes you'll find in the quick releases bad scrapes, again where it's hit the ground. So for this bike it was fine. I couldn't see any evidence of a crash. The next thing you want to check for is excessive wear. Because you could buy a bike and then suddenly you've got a bill for €300 because, or whatever currency is in your country, because you've got to replace a lot of parts. So first up, just check wheels. I mean, the easy check, just spin them, see if there's any sort of warp in the wheel, and that looks okay to me. Check the front wheel, listen out for the bearings, are they running nice and smooth? You'll hear crunching noises if they're not, so both wheels here are fine. I mean, tyres, check them. They're not too expensive, the wear doesn't really matter too much. But one thing you need to really check for is the drivetrain, the cranks here, the chain, the cassette at the back. Now, sometimes this can be tough. What you're not watching out for here with the crankset is, are the teeth pointy, sharp teeth? They want to be very wore for that to happen, but just check that over. Very difficult to tell with a cassette. Now if you have one, bring it with you. This is a chain tester. It's got two distances here, 0.75 and 1. If it fits into 0.75, then you have a worn chain. If it fits into the 1, you have a chain that definitely needs to be replaced. Now, if it fits in, well, this 0.75 won't fit in, so there's no wear in that chain. But if it fits in, now actually, when I bought this bike, I did have to replace the chain. Chain was wore when I put it into the wood. Now I checked other things, that didn't seem to be wear anywhere else, but I did have to replace the chain. Not expensive, but if there's excessive wear on the crankset, probably it applies to the cassette. and chain, and that could be a big bill. So just check that. Another thing worth checking out for is how well it was maintained, the bike. If the chain is covered in black, like real thick gunk, if the derailleurs, especially check the pulley wheels. So it's easy to do a surface clean, but check the pulley wheels. If they're caked in black, real thick gunk, bad maintenance, potentially you cleaned it up, you could be faced with more bills. Another thing as well on the, especially on these cranks, if there's been a lot of use, you'll find a lot of scrapes on the outside here. This is pretty clean. The guy told me he did about 2,000 kilometers. So I had to replace the chain, but the crank set, the chain rings here, the cassette, the pulley wheels, everything else looked clean, it looked maintained. I didn't see any excessive wear, so I was happy with that. Check brake pads, they seem fine. Another check as well, just going back to a crash bike, just check the frame for potential cracks or damage. Now, frames can break, and commonplace is down here near the bottom bracket. So just check for a crack. Now, rub your finger along as well. If you feel really, kind of a thick piece, it doesn't feel smooth, it may have been repaired. Check the seat stays here. So you can just rub your finger up and down. Do they feel nice and smooth? Are they uniform both sides? Is there any sign of any crash on them or any break? They look good. Same that side. You can check the frame. Now there's a tiny scrape here, but it's just surface, so that's okay. Check your headset. Is it free movement there? Just rub your finger around, just underneath. If you see any sort of rusty colour coming from it, you probably have a headset that's gone, or if it's really tight, could be a headset replacement. On Canyons they can be expensive. Now one thing I noticed, and always check this as well, turn the bike upside down, well even just this way here. Check underneath the bottom bracket for any damage, cracks. Now in this case here there was some damage. So there's a scrape here, it's not a big scrape, but there's a scrape here and there's a mark on the crank arm. So I spotted this, I asked the guy, he said yeah, he was coming off a footpath or something, and he just clipped the crank here and the frame, so he scraped both. So just looking at the damage, that matches up with his story. It's mostly just, it's superficial, so I was happy with that. The story matched up with the minor damage here. But other than that, I've checked all the frame. There's no scrapes, there's no chips, nothing else gone. Check the handlebars. Again, everything looks fine. So it took me only a couple of minutes to go through those checks. So check if it's stolen. Does the guy have, him or her, have documentation or something to back up that the bike is theirs? Check for crash damage, handlebars, saddle, outside on the derailleurs, the quick releases. If there's thick scrapes on those, the bike had been on the ground, and you need to find out what exactly happened. Check the drivetrain. If the teeth on the chain rings are pointy, they should be almost like a sin wave, but if they're really pointy, they're wore. That's expensive work to get chain rings, cassettes, chains. That could be expensive. Check for the maintenance. If you see lots of thick black gunk, bad sign. When you clean it all down, you could be faced with some more bills. So I'm not saying don't buy the bike, but certainly negotiate the price down. Check your wheels, are they running true? Also, worth mentioning, just check the rims for excessive wear. Can be difficult. Some rims have wear indicators, but usually just spin the wheels, are they running true? Check the tires. Again, they wear out. I wouldn't worry too much about that. But the main thing you're watching out for is the frame, the components, and the story behind it. Is the bike theirs? And checking you're not buying a stolen bike. So I checked all this, found a few issues, nothing major. I bought this second-hand Canyon bike, and I haven't had it out for a couple of spins, and so far I'm very, very happy with it. But that's my own guide on what you need to look out for when buying a second-hand bike.